Did you, our deployed service members routinely cast their ballots by mail. Did you specifically analyze how your policy changes would impact our servicemen and women across this country and across the globe, how your changes would impact them, sir?
Senator, the analysis we did would show that we would improve service to every constituent.
So that's great. So can you provide me by this Sunday, if I understand you correctly, you have an analysis that will show that this should have improved it, although we are finding out through thousands and thousands of contacts to our office, to our connections, that it has not been the case. So this is frankly unacceptable, and I would like to see the analysis that this was based on to our offices by this Sunday. Can you commit to that, sir?
No, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Sky Keith, and welcome to my channel. YouTube is a place to broadcast your message and brand your ideas. If you like what you see, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss a thing. Today we're going to talk about Return to Benjamin, Trump's Cheat to Win campaign. In the more than 2 centuries since Benjamin Franklin was appointed our first Postmaster General in 1775 of the Postal Service, the Constitution called for a Postal Service Article 1, Section 8. The Second Continental Congress called for a line of posts from New England to Georgia, and from that day on, the United States Postal Service started delivering for America. The United States Postal Service employs 630,000 plus workers, making it the third largest employer in the United States behind the federal government and Walmart. The United States Postal Service delivers 660 million pieces of mail to 142 million delivery points, operates 30,800 post offices in the U.S., and delivers 149.5 billion pieces of mail every year. The USPS is the world's largest postal system, delivering 40% of the world's mail. Trump's beef with the Postal Service began with Jeff Bezos, saying Bezos was getting rich because Amazon had been ripping off the Postal Service with a sweetheart of a deal to ship millions of his packages.
They're handing out packages for Amazon and other internet companies, and every time they bring a package, they lose money on it. So Amazon and other internet companies and delivery companies are dropping all of their, not all of them, but a big portion of packages and whatever else they're doing into a post office. And the post office is supposed to deliver the packages, and they lose a lot of money.
I fact-checked this, and the Postal Service actually benefited from Amazon's business. But Trump lied for months about the scam. Trump never did like the previous Postmaster General, Megan Brennan, repeatedly saying he wanted her removed, mainly because she told Trump that the relationship between Amazon and the Postal Service was mutually beneficial, and that Trump didn't have the ability to undo Amazon's contracts without a regulatory commission review.
The post office should raise the price of a package by approximately 4 times because they don't raise them. For some reason, these people have been in there a long time, but for some reason they're very cozy with some of these companies, and they don't raise the price of a package. And if they raise the price of a package like they should, 4 or 5 times, that's what it should be, or let Amazon build their own post office.
Megan Brennan was a former letter carrier who became the first woman to head the post office.
We are going to put certain criteria for our postal reform program as part of the loan, and we're looking forward to the board is recruiting a new Postmaster General and doing postal reform.
She was replaced in June by DeJoy, a Trump loyalist recruited by Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. DeJoy had donated more than $2 million to Trump, attended the party's most elite fundraising events, and developed a close relationship with the RNC. Now, Trump is having DeJoy destroy the Postal Service by slowing the mail service to rig an election, blocking funding, and challenging mail-in balloting. Trump's strategy is to restrict how many Americans can vote by mail during the coronavirus pandemic. He believes he will lose if many Americans vote by mail. Voting by mail is becoming a common practice in the United States, with 25% of voters nationwide mailing their ballots in 2016 and 2018. The coronavirus pandemic will increase mail-in voting because the danger of contracting the virus at polling stations. 76% of Americans are eligible to vote by mail in 2020, a record number. 80 million ballots could be cast in mail in 2020, more than double the number in 2016. DeJoy sent a letter to 46 states in July, warning that the service would not be able to meet the state's deadlines for requesting and casting mail-in ballots. The House voted to include an emergency funding of $25 billion to the post office to help the post office with the increase of mail-in ballots. Trump said he wouldn't give any additional funding for the post office because he wanted to prevent mail-in ballots.
They want $25 billion for the post office. Now, they need that money in order to have the post office work so it can take all of these millions and millions of ballots. Now, if we don't make a deal, that means they don't get the money. That means they can't have universal mail-in voting. They just can't have it.
DeJoy and Trump are trying to undermine mail-in voting by making changes to the Postal Service during an election in the middle of a pandemic. DeJoy's policy changes have caused the slowdown of deliveries, including prescription drugs, Social Security checks, and other pieces of essential mail.
Election's going to be a fraud if they do that. These mail-ins, think of it, some Democrat governor sends in millions of ballots all over the state. Who are they sending them to? Nobody has any idea. They're sending them to dogs. They actually have them sent to dogs.
Remember, when you get a mail-in ballot for your dog, you registered your dog, and you are committing voter and mail fraud. Impersonating someone else or your dog on November 3rd to get an extra vote for Trump would be a dumb election strategy. At best, you would get one meaningless vote for Trump. At worst, your life is screwed. Voter fraud is a felony, punishable by 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Look on the bright side. Trump could very well be your cellmate in prison.
In the middle of a pandemic that has killed 170,000 Americans, and on the eve of a national election, at a time when the CDC is advising people not to gather, limit outside contact, the Postal Service started removing 671 high-speed mail sorting machines across the country. You stopped the APWU from sorting the mail, and you stopped the national letter carriers and mail handlers from working overtime to deliver the mail. And for the first time in 240 years in our history of the United States Postal Service, you sent out a letter, embarrassingly, in July to 46 states that said the post office can't guarantee that we can deliver the mail in time for the elections in November. And we have reports from across the country, as you acknowledge, service has been delayed and the mail is piling up. As a member of this August committee, I'm supposed to ask you a question. In my heart, I'm tempted to ask, after 240 years of patriotic service delivering the mail, how can one person screw this up in just a few weeks? Now, I understand you bring private sector expertise. I guess we couldn't find a government worker who could screw it up this fast. It would take them a while. The president is running this post office like a business, like he said. He's running it into the ground, as he has declared bankruptcy a few times on his own businesses. In an effort to apply the facts, the real facts, not the alternative facts, based on what you have actually done, one can only reach, as a fact finder, we can only reach two conclusions. One, either through gross incompetence, you have ended the 240-year history of delivering the mail reliably on time, or the second conclusion that we could gather is that you're doing this on purpose and that you're deliberately dismantling this once proud tradition.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman may answer his question.
My last question is this.
Thank you,
What
sir.
the heck are you doing? What the heck are you doing?
The gentleman's time has
That's my
expired.
Thank you, sir.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman
First of
may
all,
answer.
I would like to agree with you on the heroic efforts of our 650,000
employees across the nation, and the history of the Postal Service for their the 250-year history of serving the American public. And I'm very
Will you put
proud-
the machines back?
I'm very proud to lead the organization. The rest of your accusations are actually
Will you put the
actually
high-speed
outrageous.
machines
No,
back?
I will not.
And whether you vote in person or by mail, vote regardless of what Trump calls the ballot.